Good morning, good afternoon, and or evening. Welcome back to the Den. Also, welcome to the full, complete, beat the game review of South of Midnight. Now, this is the shortest review on my channel as yet, and I mean the shortest in terms of game time. Usually, I like to get 24 hours of gameplay in before I either give you my initial impressions or a full review and a day in the life review. But not every game is made to get tons of time out of, which is okay. Sometimes, succinct or concise is better. Now, South of Midnight came alive out of Folklore and Legend on April 3rd, 2025, and is available on Xbox Series consoles and PC from the storytellers down there at Compulsion Games, published by the old boys at Xbox Studios. It can be played via Xbox Game Pass, which is how I played, Xbox Cloud Gaming, GeForce Now, or Steam. Of special note, and thank you Miss Macabre, however you have access to South of Midnight on PC, you can play through Boosteroid if your PC doesn't meet the requirements or barely meets the requirements. Miss Macabre has been having some issues recently out of her laptop with overheating when playing certain games, but was able to play through Boosteroid with no issues. Just another avenue I wanted you guys to be able to consider. I was playing on an i9-9900K, a 3070 Ti, 64GB of RAM, and running off an NVMe M.2 SSD. I experienced a couple of hitches after mid-stage cutscenes, but the only consistent issues I experienced was a couple of seconds of stutter at the start of the narrated cutscenes in between chapters, and sometimes graphical effects from traversal skills would get stuck on Hazel. Nothing significant that affected gameplay or the experience. Maybe just a little annoying temporarily. So, what did I think of my half a day in the life of a weaver? Find out in this review. Now, before we get into the game, we have a little folklore to cover. A haint is a type of malevolent ghost or restless spirit, often described as disruptive and unruly. Haint comes from the Gullah Geechee culture, and I probably mispronounced that, so I'm very sorry. A community of African Americans from South Carolina's Low Country, which is a region of coastal waterways, salt marshes, and includes the Sea Islands, which are a large group of tidal and barrier islands. Indigo grew easily in this area, which is significant because you need indigo plants to make the color haint blue, which is used to ward off against haints and other spirits. But haint blue isn't the only way to ward off against haints and other spirits like boo hags.
Hey, get out of here, you damn boo hag!
Boo what?
Yeah, I saw you jumping through the air back there. Ain't no one but a boo hag can do that. They ain't gonna steal my soul while I sleep.
I'm sorry, I need a bottle.
Yeah? Even you're not a boo hag, come up on this porch and prove it. I know full well you boo hags can't abide the color blue.
See? I ain't no boo hag.
Well, maybe you ain't. Thing is, I need all my bottles. Just for hates.
Wait, you see him too?
You can also hang blue glass bottles from trees to trap them. A rougarou is a person that changes into an animal, in part or whole. They started off way back as werewolves, but nowadays, after they done spread around a bunch, they come in as big a variety of animals as people that see them. And there are yet more legends too. Some of them 7 feet tall that come for you after dark if they catch you out, or sometimes they're just a nightmare spirit that punishes you for sins and missteps, and sometimes they just a big old pissed off croc that kills a whole slew of people before either disappearing forever or moving after getting his pond blowed up by a, shall we say, vengefully determined local. Yeah, we are a bit of a special bunch down here in the South. But now for the tale y'all came for.
Down in the deep south, folks spin tales about the grand tapestry, an invisible weave holding our world together. They say the grand tapestry is torn by folk sorrows, and these damaged threads give rise to them evil spirits called haints. But every great while, a mighty storm brews, awakening a powerful force. A weaver, gifted with the power to reach into the past and mend folks' deep wounds. With enchanted hooks in hand, this weaver can banish haints and reweave the tapestry's thread, restoring the land so life can bloom again, fresh and new. The last weaver vanished long ago, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Our tale begins deep in the heart of Chickasaw County, in a speck of a town called Prospero, where the last weaver was last seen. That evening, Hazel's mama was running late, driving home through a storm that seemed hell-bent on drowning the whole South. Meanwhile, our Hazel is packing an emergency box, fixing to evacuate quickly. A hurricane brewing on the horizon, and a mighty big one at that.
South of Midnight is first and foremost a story of pain and healing. The 14 chapters throughout are filled with parable-like characters that have experienced great pain and grief and have been twisted by it in one way or another. And it is up to our heroine weaver, Hazel, to mend these tears in the great tapestry. The setup for the story that I can talk about, spoiler-free, and the tutorial are spread out across the first 3 chapters. We join Hazel, a middle to older teenager, packing up things to go before a hurricane rolls in as her mother comes home. Hazel's mom sends her to check on some neighbors, and while doing this, the storm ramps up and a flood flashes, washing away Hazel's home with her mom still inside. Here, players get the movement tutorials, moving, sprinting, jumping, and climbing, as Hazel chases her house. Hazel arrives atop her house, but cannot get inside to her mother and is quickly shaken off into the raging river. She washes up on the bank downstream, the storm still raging and the river still flooded, and Hazel makes her way to her adoptive grandmother, Bunny Flood, that lives in a mansion up on a hill not too far away. As Hazel makes her way there, more complicated platforming and climbing sections are thrown at players. Bunny agrees to help.
What is all this racket?
Hey, Grandma?
Is that Hazel? You've gotten taller. What brought you sopping wet to my doorstep this evening?
I told her you were resting, but she just...
Nonsense, Lily. That's my only grandchild down there. What can we do for you?
The trailer got swept downstream with Mama in it, and
Swept down in the river in that tin can of a home?
I tried to catch her, but I couldn't keep up. There's no one in town. I saw the lights on here, and I came for help.
Says they will go looking for her mom in the morning, and then puts Hazel to bed. Hazel awakes in the morning to find the door to her room locked, and no one answers her calls. She scales the outside of the old house and finds her way through the house to get out of the house and off the grounds. Along the way, finding the first of her magical tools called hooks. As Hazel leaves, she finds the whole area covered in these giant thorny brambles, which she will later find out is called stigma. Distinct down the rabbit hole vibes here. As Hazel leaves, she sees Bunny coming out of the house, and Bunny sees Hazel. Hazel makes the comment, "I don't need you. I never did," as she closes the gates to the grounds behind her. In Chapter 2, Hazel needs to find her way back to the river to try to track down her house, and is quickly introduced to combat against the enemies that will crop up in various types and numbers. The Haints. Evil spirits that swarm around tears, which are areas of great sadness and pain. The tears are also combat zones, that the source of which can be unwoven once all of the enemies it spawns are defeated. Each combat zone has a heal that can be used once, on normal difficulty and up. Otherwise, the only way to heal is to unweave a haint or clear the tear. Hazel has a 5-hit combo that builds up damage to the 5th hit, a ground slam, and a charge attack that hits everything in its path in a wave. Charging also leaves Hazel vulnerable to counterattack, and dodging or using spells are the only way to avoid damage. After the first introduction to combat, Hazel sees a set of ghosts that seem to be fleeing something or someone, and she begins to follow them. Along the way, Hazel acquires and is introduced to all but 2 of the Weaver tools she will be using throughout the rest of the game, as well as spells and skills. Spells are used in and out of combat for various things, creating objects to platform off of or cross gaps, the ability to push and pull objects, and the ability to blow apart debris to open up hidden paths or areas. As I said, each of these is also used in combat as well, providing Hazel with more tools to fight and defeat Haints than just her normal and charge attacks. After each out-of-combat introduction to each spell, Hazel then learns to use it in combat. This separation is very helpful and well done in my opinion, and the tutorials in South of Midnight are just well done in general. They are concise text explanations of buttons with a scene playing above to show what it looks like, and then they have you do it immediately after. 2 thumbs up. Skills can unlock new abilities for Hazel or upgrade previously unlocked skills, and are selected from the skill menu on the left of the upgrade menu. There is also a section off to the right of the main skill tree where Hazel can upgrade or augment her spells, making their effects in combat more potent. Skill points, called floofs, are collected by exploring the levels and unraveling tears. Chapter 2 ends with the ghost finding their way safely, and consequently Hazel too. In Chapter 3, the weirdness deepens as Hazel continues on her journey. Gliding and wall running are added to platforming, and more enemy types are added into combat one at a time, with the final combat area in this chapter throwing all of them at Hazel at once. Hazel acquires another Weaver tool, the blue glass bottle, and is introduced to a rather well-mannered character that we were originally introduced to in a gameplay preview, who also happens to help narrate in between chapters.
Oh, thanks. Get off me.
Hey, Hazel.
Who's there?
You up here.
Where?
My salvation.
A talking fish. Nope. Ain't no way.
Oh, Weaver like you must have seen stranger things than me. And I was so sorry to hear about your misfortunation. You find your mama yet?
How do you know about my mama?
Well, before I tell you what I know, would you mind? This gentleman here scooped me up, but he ain't been equally good about letting go. Would you kindly do your Weaver thing and help me down?
And that is about all I can say while keeping to minor spoilers at most.
It's time for Kushma's Cabaret.
You again.
Come to the stage, my dear. See, once I too was just like you. I'd rule things I didn't do. I'd chew on every little wrong. Guilt from crimes was too strong. At night I'd lie awake in bed and ponder what I should have said. Regret would dog me all night long. All I did just felt so wrong until Kushma came along. Dreammaker, kingmaker, lord of bargain chance. Spin the wheel and make a wish. There's no payment in advance. Kushma master, power vaster. No one comes close to him. All are welcome to state my Time to sink or swim. So, what's on offer with this proffer? Choose an ending, you're the author. Overstakes become successes. Your choices, he obsesses until bargain.
I know. Quit the yap and get to it. So, what do I think? South of Midnight's story is a good, hopeful, and heart-wrenching tale of healing heart-wrenching tales, more than one of which will hit you right in the feels. And these individual short stories complement the main story of Hazel searching for her mom by having Hazel heal pain and right wrongs as she deals with her own sorrow along her journey. Gameplay-wise, these smaller tales also help to keep players moving through each stage and are also a part of concealing hidden paths with floofs or readables. Readables are little notes throughout each chapter that provide a little extra contextual lore, which I liked, but I am not sure how much they actually contribute to the game outside of something to collect for achievement hunting. The art style, though, greatly contributes to the game. The macabre stigma of these massive thorny vines reaching out of the ground, wrapping around and growing through houses and cars and roadways, drowning out trees and bushes while reaching up into the sky to blot out the sun, contrasted against the natural beauty of the fictional southeastern USA setting, is absolutely perfect. The indigo flowers and wildflowers hanging off of houses and trailers and shacks growing out of the ground set against the trees and the rivers against the background of the stigma is very well done. The stop motion I was honestly worried about, but my worry was misplaced. There are moments that the jerky movements do like halfway snap me out of the experience, but these were few and passed very quickly, and then I was back into being sucked into South of Midnight. The music and the sound design are also amazing, and I'm going to mispronounce this, so I apologize. Olivier Deriviere and all the musicians did a thoroughly entrapping and enjoyable job with the music. The music complements the environments and the chapters well, and when the lyrics cue over the top of the rest of the sound is wonderful each time. When the sad music lyrics kicked in at Benji, it was hauntingly beautiful. The sound team also did a wonderful job with the varied sounds of different surfaces and actions. As an example, when Hazel glides, jumps, or wall runs, there is a little different sound that plays for each.
I remember my brother, his fate was so cruel. He saw things so different, branded a fool. He found trouble often, each place we'd go. He didn't know that this was the end.
The combat is good, it has its challenges, but nothing that can't be overcome. Players have a variety of tools and attacks at their disposal. There are a variety of enemies with their own abilities and weaknesses. Heals are there to help. Upgrading spells and skills helps their effectiveness but doesn't make them overpowered. And players are given the option to restart in and out of combat, so if they want to come back to that section they can, or they can just keep retrying as many times as is needed. Respawn and carry on. If combat is not challenging enough, there are multiple difficulty settings. The worst thing I can say about combat is that Hands will get right up on top of you and give you the smallest windows to dodge their attacks when you're having to get up off the ground, like when you get knocked down. It's really cheap, but it can be dodged. The bosses in this game are good. They are a level unto themselves. You have sections where you're dodging their attacks and damaging them with your own attacks, but in between these sections are platforming sections that take players to the next area where they fight the boss. Personally, I really liked this. It added something more to the rhythm of the boss fight than just the normal attack and riposte of beating each other down. Plus, how Hazel wins boss fights is really in keeping with the story and her character. The worst things I can say about South of Midnight overall is that there are certain points where Hazel's dialogue seems really out of place. An example of this is at the end of Chapter 1 when Hazel is leaving the Flood Mansion. She turns and sees Bunny and says, "I don't need you. I never did," as she leaves. This kind of sticks out like story dialogue wise, as there hasn't been anything notable in the story to lead to this kind of emotion or confrontational attitude from Hazel towards Bunny just yet. Yes, the door was locked to Hazel's room, but she nor we know if it was Bunny or if Bunny's related to all the weirdness going on. There are other instances throughout the rest of the story, but I would say that this is a minor gripe and it doesn't ruin the overall story or experience. It's just something that kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me. The other negative is that South of Midnight does not have good playtime value. Preaching my shtick once again, I advocate that you should never get less than 1 hour of play per dollar spent on the game. South of Midnight is priced at $40 USD, and I got right about 14 hours out of it. Now, I didn't 100% the achievements for the game, so I could definitely get some replay out of it and push that count up by another couple to few hours, but not enough to push it all the way up to 40, easily. Replayability is done very well in South of Midnight. You can either start a whole new playthrough after you finish up the game, or if you don't want to experience the levels all over again, you can replay specific chapters. However you're looking at it, you're looking at having to get 3 playthroughs basically out of the game to get good playtime out of a purchase of South of Midnight. Now, if you play through Game Pass like I did, then playtime value jumps up. $20 on console or $12 on PC is how I would recommend you go for enjoying South of Midnight until you can get it on a sale for those that would like to, or need to be frugal. Not because of anything bad about South of Midnight, but because of that budget. Outside of the playtime value discussion, I recommend South of Midnight. If story platformers like Alice Madness Returns are your thing, then I strongly recommend South of Midnight. If you're looking for a game that you can play in sections, easily manage your play sessions, put down, come back to, and get right back into the story, and it's an enjoyable tale from start to finish, then I strongly recommend South of Midnight. If you have Game Pass, South of Midnight is a must-play. Thank you all for some of your time and for checking out my review of South of Midnight. I hope you found it enjoyable and informative. If you do like the review content, leave me a comment down below with what you thought of South of Midnight. Did you like the story? What did you think of the characters? What did you think of the boss fights and the combat sections? Let me know in those comments down below. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button so that way you don't miss out on other reviews and other content. And while you're there, hit that like button for me. It really helps out the reviews. Again, thank you for all the support. It means the world to me. But, most importantly, have a wonderful rest of your day.